Hey guys, how you doing? So today I just wanted to go over how do you add and subtract integers. So integers are positive or negative numbers. So if you have an addition or subtraction that involves a negative number, this is what you're doing. So first of all, what is addition and subtraction? Well, it's moving along a number line. So let's just think about this first problem. 4 minus 6. That means we're at 4, positive 4, and we're going back 6 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places, and we arrive at negative 2. So 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Let's look at this one. Negative 1 minus 3. We're at negative 1, and we're going negative 3 more. So again, we're going back to the left 3 places. 1, 2, 3. So we arrive at negative 4. Now, quickly, can you tell me what this is going to be? Negative 4 plus 8. Think, which way are we going, left or right? Well, we're going right. We're going in the positive direction, and we're going 8 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 places, and we arrive at positive 4. So negative 4 plus 8, positive 4. So if that makes sense to you, let's start with our first set of rules. So the first rule of adding and subtracting integers is that we only have one sign in front of each term. So you could get an instance where you're solving and you end up with two signs in front of the same term. That's no good. We just want to turn that into one. So how do we make two signs into one? The first rule is if the signs are the same, 2 positives or 2 negatives, it's always going to make a positive. So have that ingrained in your head, put it on your memory aids. If the 2 signs are the same, it's going to make a positive sign. So, for example, 3 plus positive 2, we're going to put these signs together. Put these signs together and get 3 plus 2, which makes 5. Again, here we have 2 signs in front of the same term. This already has one sign in front of it, so we don't have to worry about it. But this is negative 8 minus negative 3. So how do we put these together? Well, they are the same sign, and so 2 of the same sign make a positive, so it's negative 8 plus 3, which makes negative 5. If the 2 signs are different, if you have a positive with a negative or a negative with a positive, then we're going to get a negative in the end. So here I have 4 plus negative 3. A positive and a negative put together makes a negative. So this will be 4 minus 3. And now it's much more simple to see that this would equal 1. 10 minus positive 2. We put them together, it's much easier to see. 10 minus 2, and that's 8. So, if you have a situation where there are 2 signs in front of the same term, instead of in front of the same number, well then we just put them together in this way so that there's only one sign in front of each term. Okay, so now we need some rules, because sometimes it's not so easy to think about the number line, and especially not easy to draw the number line. So here are some rules so that without drawing a number line, we can always get these questions right. So first of all, we have to look at what numbers we're given. I wrote here, if the signs of the 2 terms are the same, meaning a positive and a positive, or a negative and a negative, we keep that sign and we add the natural numbers. Remember, the natural number is the positive version of that number. So even if we're talking about a negative number, its natural counterpart is positive. So 4 plus 8. These are both positive numbers, so we can keep that sign. The answer is going to be positive. And we just add the natural numbers. 4 plus 8, 12. Here, negative 3 and negative 5. Both negative numbers, so the answer is going to be negative. Then we just add the natural numbers 3 and 5, 3 plus 5 is 8. So our answer, negative 8. Again, two positive numbers, positive 12 and positive 6. The answer is going to be positive. And then we just add the natural numbers, 12 and 6 make 18. Negative 4 and negative 6, well, the answer is going to be negative because they're both negative. And then put the natural numbers together, 4 and 6 make 10. So, if our two terms have the same sign, it's that easy. Keep that sign and then put the two natural numbers together. But what if they don't have the same sign? What if we're dealing with one positive and then one negative? So, if the signs of the two terms are different, we keep the sign of the bigger natural number. Then we subtract those natural numbers. So we find the difference between them. So here, let's start at our first example. 7 minus 3. That's positive 7 minus 3. Well, which is the bigger natural number? 7 is bigger than 3. So the answer is going to be positive. Now, what's the difference between 7 and 3? It's 4. So the answer is positive 4. Here we have negative 13 plus 4. So things are starting to get a bit more tricky. Which is the bigger natural number, 13 or 4? It's 13, so the negatives win out in this instance. So the answer is going to be negative. And what's the difference between 13 and 4? Ignoring the signs, the difference is 9. Again, same process. Which is bigger, an 8 or a 5? Well, 8 is, and it's negative, so the answer is going to be negative. And now, simply, what's the difference between an 8 and a 5 in positive natural terms? The difference between 8 and 5 is 3. So the answer here is negative 3. 5 minus 12, which is the bigger number? 12 is bigger, it's negative, and so the answer is going to be negative. And what's the difference between 5 and 12? It's just 7, and so the answer here is negative 7. So, I just wanted to point out that these same rules will apply for integers in any situation. So, this includes combining like terms. Like terms include constants, so everything we've done so far falls into this category. But for some reason, maybe you get confused when we start throwing x's and y's and y squareds into the equation. So, the exact same rules apply. Here we have 8x minus 12x. These are like terms, so we can put them together. 8 and negative 12. That's really what we're dealing with here. Which is bigger? Well, it's negative 12. So the answer is going to be negative. What's the difference between 8 and 12? 4. But 4 what? 4 x's. Here I have negative 4x squared plus 5x squared. Different signs, so we follow those rules. Which is bigger, a 4 or a 5? A 5, so the answer is going to be positive. What's the difference between a 4 and a 5? Just 1. And 1 what? 1x squared. So, of course, we could just rewrite this as x squared. Let's look up here. First, find your like terms. So we have one like term here, negative 8x, and the second here. They both have x to the power of 1. There are no other like terms in this equation. So rewrite what you're not touching and put these together. They have different signs, so we follow that second set of rules. The bigger one is 8, so it's going to hold that sign, which is negative here. What's the difference between 8 and 4? 4. For what? For x. And we never touch that negative 7, so it's still there. Here, this is common when you're solving a system of equations. Here we're solving for y. We need to rearrange and put our like terms together. So first off, I'm going to bring my 3 over here. By subtracting, this is positive 3y. So how do you get rid of plus 3y? You subtract 3y from both sides. So that will become 0. And so we're just left with negative 2 here. This will be 5y minus 3y plus 4. And when we put our like terms together, 5 minus 3, the bigger one is the 5, so it's going to be positive, and the difference between the two is 2, so 2y plus 4. Now, we're trying to get y alone, so doing reverse BEDMAS, the next step is the addition. So let's get rid of this addition here. The opposite of plusing 4 is subtracting 4. So we will subtract 4 from both sides. Here they have the same sign. So what do? We keep that sign, and we add these two natural numbers together. 2 and 4 is 6. We're left with 2y here. How do you get rid of a times 2? You divide by 2. So let's divide both sides by 2, and we're left with negative 3 equals y. So you see this comes into play just about everywhere in math, and now no amount of variables will scare you off.